All right, what if I told you that you could build a trading system that has the potential to make, I don't know, almost $500,000, and all you need are a few simple lines on a chart? Seriously, no complex indicators, no fancy algorithms, none of that expensive software. I know, it sounds a little too good to be true, right? Well, let's dive in and actually see how it's done.
And look, this isn't some hypothetical number I'm pulling out of thin air. That number, over $490,000 in verified profits, that was actually earned by a swing trader named Tori Trades. And her secret weapon? It's this incredibly straightforward way of just reading the chart.
That's right, we're talking zero clutter, no confusing signals flashing all over the place. Her whole strategy is built on what you can see with your own two eyes, on a clean, naked chart. It's honestly one of the most accessible but also powerful methods I've seen. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy.
And this is really the key takeaway, right here in her own words. The lines themselves, they aren't magic. The real secret is building a disciplined, rule-based playbook around those lines. That's the thing that turns simple lines on a screen into an actual profitable system.
So, to start building out your own playbook, you really only need to get your head around two key ideas. Just two. Think of them as your most critical tools for every single trade: the action line and the safety line.
Okay, first up, the action line. I mean, its name really says it all, doesn't it? This is the trend line that gives you your signal. When the price touches it or breaks it, that's your trigger. It's the line that's screaming at you, hey, it's time to take action, time to enter a trade.
And then, just as important, you have your safety line. This is your risk manager. This is the line that protects your money. It gives you a crystal clear, absolutely non-negotiable signal for when it's time to get out of a trade. Doesn't matter if it's for a profit or to cut a loss. It's the line that, well, keeps you safe.
So, to break it down, these two lines have completely different jobs. Your action line is your green light, your go signal. The safety line, that's your red light, your stop signal. And having this super clear separation is what makes the whole strategy so good at managing risk. You never, ever get your entry trigger mixed up with your exit plan.
Okay, so let's see how these tools come together to build your very first playbook. We're going to start with the simplest one. It's called the bounce setup. This is the perfect place for you to begin because the whole thing is designed to be as low risk as possible.
So here's how it works. It's pretty simple. Step 1, you spot a clear trend line, one that the price has already respected a few times. Step 2, you wait for the price to come back and touch that line again, and that's when you enter. And here's the most important part for this setup. That same exact line is also your safety line. So if the price breaks through it, you're out, immediately, no questions asked. The action and safety lines are the same thing here.
But, and this is crucial, you don't just take any bounce. You have to be picky. An A-plus setup, the only kind Tori is interested in, has to meet a strict checklist. Why? Well, because these rules filter out all the random noise and help you pinpoint the really high probability trades. For instance, a line with 2, 3, or more touches, that tells you the market is paying attention to this level. And if it's based on at least a week of data, you know it's a real trend, not just some random blip. And finally, by getting in right at the line, your risk is tiny. It's just a smarter way to trade.
All right, so with the bounce setup, you're basically trading with the trend, using one line for everything. Super simple, super clear. Now, once you've got that down, you can move on to what Tori calls her bread and butter. This is the strategy that made her so much money, the break setup. And honestly, this is where the real power of the system kicks in.
Okay, so with a break setup, the rules change a bit. Your action line is still that established trend line, but now you're waiting for the price to break through it. But your safety line, this is the new part. It's the new opposing trend line that starts to form after the break. You draw it by connecting the new highs or lows that show up. This new line is what you're going to use to manage your risk. So now the two lines have totally separate jobs.
And this right here, this is probably the most important rule for the break setup. A low-risk break, the kind you want, is when your entry point is super close to that new safety line. That means your potential loss is small, right? But if the price makes this huge explosive move and you're suddenly way far away from that safety line, that's a high-risk trade, and you have to learn to skip those, no matter how tempting they look.
So we've got the two setups, the bounce and the break. But now we need to talk about the real secret. Because let's be honest, anyone can draw lines on a chart. The real edge, the secret sauce behind that nearly $500,000 number, is turning these setups into a strict personal playbook that you test and track over and over and over again.
I love how Tori puts it, you can't improve what you don't measure.
It's so true. If you're not collecting data on your trades, what's working, what isn't, which stocks, what time of day, then you're basically just guessing. A playbook turns your trading from gambling into more of a science experiment where you can actually prove what works for you.
And here's the proof. Look at her actual data. When she takes a break setup off a line with only 2 touches, her win rate is 65%. Pretty good. But her average loss on those trades is a whopping $15,000. Now compare that to her breaks off a 3-touch line. The win rate is a little lower, 60%, but her average loss is only $5,000. This is the kind of data that changes everything. It's what lets you manage risk like a pro and actually build a profitable system.
So the strategy itself is simple. The rules are clear. But this brings us to the final and honestly the hardest question you have to ask yourself, and that is, are you actually ready to wait?
Look, Tori is super upfront about this. It took her a full year to really master this stuff. Because as a swing trader, those perfect A-plus setups, they're rare. They don't happen every day. You can't just log on and get your practice reps in. So the biggest challenge isn't drawing the lines. It's having the insane amount of patience to just sit on your hands and wait for that perfect setup and not force a bunch of crappy trades in between.
So there you have it. A really simple strategy that demands incredible discipline. The roadmap is right there for you, but the patience, man, that's the hard part. So the real question for you now is, what's the very first rule, the very first piece of data that you are going to write down for your own trading playbook?